Today we're looking at segments, rays, collinear, and coplanar. We're going to start with a little vocabulary. So a ray is a part of a line that has a fixed starting point but no end point. It can extend infinitely in only one direction. A segment is a part of a line that is bounded by two distinct endpoints. Points that lie on the same line are called collinear, and points that lie on the same plane are called coplanar. Okay, this is how we name these things. Here's a picture of a ray. It kind of looks like an arrow. It's got a point on one end. There's a second point on the ray, and then it extends infinitely in one direction here, like we mentioned before. So this ray, the way that we name it using symbols, is we start with the beginning point, and then we name one, oops, that's the wrong letter. And then we name one other point that's on the ray, so X, Z for this one. And then the symbol that we use on top of it is just an arrow pointing to the right. Similarly for a segment, this is what it looks like if we draw it. It is a little piece of a line. There's an endpoint on either end. So for the segment, we name any 2 points that are on that segment. We name the 2 endpoints on the segment, and then we put just a solid bar over the top. Now with this one, it doesn't matter which order you put those letters in, the endpoints. So AT, segment AT, and segment TA are actually the same thing. This one is not the same though with a ray. You do have to start with the beginning, and then the second one has to be another point that's somewhere else on the ray. Okay, so a quick review about what collinear means. Collinear, as we saw in a previous slide there, meant that it was points that lie on the same line. So if I were to draw a line here, and I were to draw a couple of points that are on the line, we'll do 3 of them, and I labeled those A, B, and C. And then I drew another point that would say up here somewhere, and I call that one D. And with this example here, I could say that A, B, and C are collinear because they lie on the same line. Point D, however, is not collinear with points A, B, and C. For coplanar, in order to display this one, I'm going to have to draw a picture of a plane, which, as we discussed before, we represent that with a parallelogram. And then I'm going to put some points that are on the plane. So here I've got a couple like this. We'll do 4 of them. And we'll call these W, X, Y, and Z. And then if I had another point that was maybe out here somewhere, and we'll call that one M, then for this example, I could say W, X, Y, and Z are coplanar, and M is not coplanar with W, X, Y, and Z. Now another term is opposite rays. Now we know what a ray is, so I'm going to go ahead and draw a ray. So for this ray, I've got an endpoint. It extends infinitely in one direction, so I can put another point on here so that I can name it. We'll call this one, let's go DE. So this is ray DE, and I would write it like this. An opposite ray means that it has the same starting point, so it has to start here, but then it has to go in exactly the opposite direction. So if I put a point on this one over here, we'll call that point X, just to make it very different. Then we could say ray DX and ray DE are opposite rays. Okay, so now we have a little bit of guided practice here. You have this in your notes, so this would be a really good place to pause the video and give these a try. So go ahead and do all 4 of these and then come back to the video and see how you did. Okay, welcome back. You may have labeled your points that were not specifically named for you with different things than I did, but we'll talk about what the concepts are that you needed to have covered. So this first one here, plane A, is drawn with a parallelogram. I'm showing 3 points on plane A. So those 3 points, I have this wrong. Okay, let me fix that one. Okay, these 3 points are supposed to be collinear in plane A. So that means I need to have a line. And then those 3 points need to be drawn on the line. So X, Y, Z. So these 3 points are on the line and the line is on plane A. The second one says 2 points that are not coplanar on plane S. So again, I drew plane S as a parallelogram. I show point M is a point on plane S. And then I've got a line. The dashed part of the line here shows that that's underneath the plane, and then the solid part shows that it's above the plane. So this is how you can kind of make a 3-dimensional picture on a 2-dimensional page. So this point A is definitely off of plane S, but point M is on it. So those two points would not be coplanar on plane S. The third one asks for 3 coplanar points in plane C. So I have plane C again drawn as a parallelogram, and then I've got the 3 points drawn on there. I named them M, A, and P. They're all on the plane. If I wanted to show one that was not coplanar, I would need to draw it off of the plane somewhere. Then the last one says points D, E, and F are collinear, but point X is not collinear with D, E, and F. So I have a line. My line includes the points D, E, and F, and point X is off here in the middle of nowhere. Okay, we have some more guided practice here, so now is a good time to pause the video again and try these. Okay, welcome back again. So the first one asks us to give another name for ray SQ. So if I'm looking on my diagram here, ray SQ would start here at S, and then it needs to extend infinitely in the direction of Q. So that would be this way. So the ray would be starting here, going this direction forever. So another way that I could name that, I still have to start with S as the beginning point, but I need to have a different point that's on the ray, extending in the infinite direction. So T would be the right one. So ray ST. Name 2 pairs of opposite rays for our next one. So opposite rays, remember, have to have the same beginning point. So your first letter has to be the same. And then the infinite direction on the ray has to be opposite for the 2 of them. So QT goes over here off to the northeast, and QS goes off to the southwest. So QT and QS have exactly opposite directions. Another pair would be QV, heads kind of southwest here, and QU heads a little bit northeast, so exactly opposite directions. And the third one was to write the correct notation in 2 different ways for the segment with endpoints S and T. So here's my segment. They're part of the line ST, but if I want to say the segment ST, that means S and T have to be the endpoints. So ST, segment ST is one way to write it, but you could also reverse the letters and say segment TS. One more set of guided practice questions here. So once again, pause the video and then come back after you've had a chance to try them. Okay, welcome back again. So 4 coplanar points. On this picture, we only have 4 points that are specifically listed on our plane P there. So G, M, F, and D are all of our coplanar points for this diagram. The intersection of plane F and line R When you have a line that does not lie on the plane and it intersects a plane, it's going to intersect in exactly one point. So this intersection would just be point F. 2 rays and 2 segments. There were multiple correct answers on this. So for the rays, there were actually 3 rays specifically listed in this picture. So we have ray FD, ray FG, and ray FH. Any 2 of those 3 would satisfy the request here. For segments, there were also 3 correct answers, but there were 2 ways to write each of those 3 correct answers. So you could have segment GF or FG. You could have segment FD or segment DF. And you could have segment FH or segment HF. Any 2 of those 3, again, would satisfy the requirement. Okay, what points are not coplanar? So on this picture, we have 2 points that are not on the plane that's given to us. Our plane is P, so L and H are not coplanar with the other points that are there, M, G, F, and D. And what points on the plane are not collinear with F and D? So line FD is here. The other 2 points that are on the plane are not collinear with that one. They fall on different lines. So G and M. Okay, that concludes our lesson on segments, rays, collinear, and coplanar. I do want to point out that collinear is a weird word to spell. It's got 2 L's in it for, I guess, no reason really whatsoever. But when you're writing it, make sure you get both of the L's in there for collinear. Coplanar, on the other hand, does not double the P. So it's just C-O-P-L-A-N-A-R. So I guess it's a little weird too. Anyhow, you have a practice assignment that's next here in Schoology. Go ahead and work on that.